Have you ever shipped something internationally and felt like you were just crossing your fingers, hoping for the best? Who pays for what? Where does my responsibility end and the buyer's begin? If something gets damaged in transit, who's on the hook for the cost? These questions can cause sleepless nights for anyone involved in global trade. It feels like navigating a minefield, right? Well, what if I told you there's a global rulebook designed to make all of this crystal clear? It's called Incoterms, and today we're going to demystify it for you. We'll cut through the legal jargon and show you how understanding these simple rules can save you a ton of money and prevent those gut-wrenching shipping disasters. By the end of this video, you'll feel confident and in control of every international transaction. Let us begin. So what exactly are Incoterms? Think of them as the prenups of international trade. They are a set of 11 globally recognized rules published by the International Chamber of Commerce, or ICC. The latest version is Incoterms 2020. These rules define the responsibilities of sellers and buyers for the delivery of goods under sales contracts. They clearly state who is responsible for paying for and managing the shipment, insurance, documentation, and customs clearance. Most importantly, they pinpoint the exact moment when the risk of loss or damage to the goods transfers from the seller to the buyer. Getting this wrong can be incredibly expensive. Imagine your container of goods falls off a ship in the middle of the ocean. Who bears that loss? Incoterms has the answer. Now you might be thinking, this sounds complicated, but it's actually designed to simplify things. The 11 Incoterms are divided into two main groups based on the mode of transport. The first group includes 7 rules that can be used for any mode of transport: sea, air, road, or rail. These are the most flexible and widely used ones. The second group has 4 rules that are specifically for sea and inland waterway transport only. Using a sea-only term for an air shipment is a classic mistake that can lead to major confusion and disputes. So let's start by breaking down the most common ones you'll encounter, beginning with the rule that puts the most responsibility on the buyer, X or X works. With X works, the seller's job is incredibly simple. They just need to make the goods available at their own premises, like their factory or warehouse. That's it. Once they say, your stuff is ready for pickup, their responsibility ends. The buyer is responsible for everything else: loading the goods onto a truck, arranging all transportation to the final destination, handling all export and import customs procedures, and paying for all of it. The risk also transfers to the buyer the moment the goods are made available. So, if the goods are damaged while being loaded at the seller's factory, it's the buyer's problem. EXW is great for sellers who want minimal hassle, but it places a huge burden on the buyer, especially if they aren't familiar with the seller's country. Now, let's move up the chain of responsibility to a group of terms that are much more common, starting with the F terms: FCA, FAS, and FOB. Let's focus on FCA, or free carrier. This is one of the most versatile and highly recommended terms. Under FCA, the seller is responsible for delivering the goods to a carrier or another person nominated by the buyer at the seller's premises or another named place. The seller also handles export customs clearance. Here is the key part. The risk transfers once the goods are loaded onto the buyer's arranged transport at the seller's location, or when they arrive at the named place ready for unloading. FCA gives the buyer control over the main international shipping leg, which they often prefer because they can use their own trusted freight forwarders and potentially get better rates. It's a great balance of responsibility. Next up is FOB, or free on board. This is a classic term, but listen closely. It should only be used for sea or inland waterway transport. This term is used for only port-to-port shipment. With FOB, the seller is responsible for delivering the goods and loading them on board the vessel nominated by the buyer at the named port of shipment. They also handle export customs. The critical point of risk transfer is when the goods are physically placed on board the ship. Before Incoterms 2020, the rule was past the ship's rail, but now it's clearly on board. Once the crane has placed your container safely on the deck, the risk transfers to the buyer. If the container is dropped while being loaded, it's the seller's liability. The moment it's on board, it becomes the buyer's problem. The buyer is responsible for the main sea freight, insurance, and everything that happens after that. Let's move on to the C terms: CPT, CIP, CFR, and CIF. The C stands for cost or carriage, and this is where things get a little tricky, so pay attention. With these terms, the seller arranges and pays for the main carriage to a named destination. But the risk transfers to the buyer much earlier, back in the country of origin. Let's look at CPT, or carriage paid to. The seller pays for the carriage of the goods up to the named destination. However, the risk transfers from the seller to the buyer when the goods are handed over to the first carrier. So, the seller could be paying for a flight to New York, but their risk ends when the goods are given to the trucking company in Shanghai that takes them to the airport. The buyer is responsible for the goods during the main transit, even though the seller paid for it. A very important partner to CPT is CIP, or carriage and insurance paid to. It's exactly the same as CPT, but with one crucial addition: the seller must also purchase cargo insurance for the buyer's risk. Under Incoterms 2020, CIP now requires a higher level of insurance coverage, Institute Cargo Clauses A, which is an all-risks policy. This is a significant change from the previous rules and offers more protection for the buyer. So, with CIP, the seller pays for carriage and insurance to the destination, but their risk still ends when the goods are handed to the first carrier. If something goes wrong in transit, the buyer files a claim under the insurance policy that the seller arranged. For sea transport, the equivalent terms are CFR, cost and freight, and CIF, cost, insurance, and freight. CIF is one of the most popular terms globally, but remember, just like FOB, it's for sea transport only. Finally, we arrive at the group that puts the most responsibility on the seller: the D terms, DAP, DPU, and DDP. These are delivered terms, meaning the seller is responsible for the goods until they arrive at the named destination. Let's start with DAP, or delivered at place. The seller is responsible for arranging and paying for transport all the way to a named destination agreed upon with the buyer, like the buyer's warehouse. The seller bears all risks involved in bringing the goods to that location, right up to the point before they are unloaded. Unloading is the buyer's responsibility. So if the truck carrying your goods crashes a block away from your warehouse, it's the seller's problem to solve. The risk transfers to you only when the truck arrives and is ready for you to unload. Next, we have a brand new term introduced in Incoterms 2020, DPU, or delivered at place unloaded. This is the only Incoterm where the seller is explicitly responsible for unloading the goods at the destination. It replaced the old DAT term. So, under DPU, the seller handles everything transport to the destination and also unloading the goods from the arriving means of transport. The risk transfers to the buyer once the goods are unloaded and placed at their disposal. This term is perfect for situations where the seller has better means or access to equipment for unloading at the destination port or terminal. And last but not least, the king of seller responsibility, DDP, or delivered duty paid. Under DDP, the seller has the maximum obligation. They are responsible for everything, delivering the goods to the named destination, ready for unloading. And they must also handle and pay for all import customs, clearance, duties, and taxes in the buyer's country. Essentially, the seller does it all. The risk transfers to the buyer when the goods are ready for unloading at the destination. While this seems fantastic for a buyer, a true door-to-door service, it can be risky for the seller. They might not be familiar with the import regulations and tax structures of the buyer's country, which can lead to unexpected costs and delays. A seller should only agree to DDP if they are very confident they can handle the import process in the destination country. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour of the Incoterms 2020. From EXW, where the seller does almost nothing, to DDP, where they do almost everything. Understanding the point of risk transfer and the division of costs for each term is the key. Choosing the right Incoterm isn't just a box to tick on a form. It's a strategic business decision. It affects your price, your liability, your cash flow, and your relationship with your trading partner. Always make sure the Incoterm you choose is clearly stated in your sales contract, followed by the specific location, like FCA, Shanghai Port Terminal, or DAP, 123 Main Street, London. The more specific you are, the less room there is for misunderstanding. Don't let confusing shipping terms sink your profits. Master the Incoterms, and you'll navigate the world of international trade like a true pro. I hope this breakdown has helped clear things up. Global trade can be complex, but with the right knowledge, you can protect your business and ship with confidence. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I have a lot more content coming your way to help you succeed in business. Got any questions or a shipping story to share? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video with new topic. Till then, remain safe and take care of your international trade business meticulously. Thank you.